There's something different about motels. They're temporary by design, like places that don't need to remember you were ever there. I never believed in haunted houses or cursed rooms, but what happened to me last summer in room 313, it didn't just change how I see the world. It broke something inside me, something I'm not sure can ever be fixed. I was on my way from Phoenix to Denver, just me, a borrowed truck, and a playlist full of angry music to drown out the breakup I wasn't handling very well. Somewhere near the Arizona-New Mexico border, I missed an exit. It was late, and my eyes felt like sandpaper. I pulled into the first place I saw, Sandview Inn. It looked abandoned. The sign was cracked. The N in inn was hanging sideways, like it had given up. Still, I was too tired to care. Inside was a single desk, with a man sitting behind it. Bald, pale, weirdly still. He looked up at me like I'd interrupted something important. Didn't even ask for my name, just slid over a key. Clerk, room 313. I blinked. No offense, I said. But is that the only one available? He didn't smile, didn't blink, just stared at me and said, "It's the only one that wants you." That should have been enough to send me walking back to my truck, but I was too drained to argue. I took the key, walked down the cracked sidewalk, and unlocked room 313. The room was clean, too clean. Like no one had touched anything in years. Bed neatly made, television off. Curtains drawn shut with this dim, grayish light seeping in around the edges. I sat on the bed. That's when I noticed the clock, 3:13 a.m. I remember thinking, weird coincidence. I didn't fall asleep so much as I blacked out, but when I opened my eyes, the clock still read 3:13, same exact time. But now, the room felt colder. I got up to check my phone, no signal. Then I noticed something off. My suitcase was zipped. I never zip it shut at night. And worse, the toothbrush I hadn't unpacked yet was already in the bathroom, wet. That's when I noticed the television was on. Not playing anything, just static. And above the static, I could swear I heard whispers, like someone talking softly from inside the signal. I reached for the remote, but the screen went black before I touched it. I tried to leave, but the front door wouldn't open. The lock twisted, but the knob just turned in place, endlessly. I went to the window, pulled the curtain aside. There was nothing outside. No parking lot, no desert. Just a thick gray fog where the world used to be. I don't remember falling asleep again, but I woke up. Same bed, same sheets. Clock still at 3:13 a.m. Now there was a photo on the nightstand. A printed Polaroid of me, sleeping in that bed. Same position, same room. I don't scare easily, but in that moment, I felt something primal. I was being watched. And not just by someone outside, but by the room itself. I started searching. Every drawer, every crevice. Under the bed, I found it. A small, old guest book, no dust. Like it had been placed there. For me, I opened it. The first page had 3 names, all crossed out. The next page, 2 more, same pattern. Each entry ended with the same words, written shakily. Room 313 won't let go. I flipped to the back. The final page had my name already written in, but the handwriting was mine. I tried to scream, but nothing came out. The room felt like it was shrinking, walls inching closer, the light dimming, the clock ticking louder. I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed the motel Bible from the drawer, tore out a page, and lit it on fire with my lighter. The fire didn't spread. It froze, mid-flame, suspended in air, like even physics didn't work here. Then, I woke up, back in the bed. Same position, clock, 3:13 a.m. Again, I've tried everything. Burning the room, smashing the mirror, carving messages into the walls for the next me. But there's no next me. There's only me, over and over. And I think the room is learning. Each time I wake up, it's harder to remember who I was before. My voice sounds less like mine. My reflection flickers. Last time I looked in the mirror, I didn't see myself. I saw someone else. Someone screaming, behind the glass. Maybe that's what the room wants. Not just a guest. A replacement. I hear a knock. The clerk is outside. He's holding a new key, waiting for someone else. And I'm standing behind the curtain, watching the new guy walk toward the door. I try to scream, warn him, but I smile instead. Because now I understand. Room 313 doesn't trap you. It turns you into itself. I moved into my apartment about 6 months ago. It's nothing special, just a small one-bedroom on the 3rd floor of a tired, aging complex on the edge of town. The kind of place where the hall lights flicker sometimes and you can hear your neighbors sneeze through the walls, but it was quiet. And after my last place, a ground floor unit with paper-thin windows and a guy next door who watched war documentaries at full volume, quiet was all I wanted. For the first month, everything felt normal. I'd come home, microwave something, maybe scroll on my phone, then fall asleep to whatever show I'd already watched 3 times. I wasn't expecting much out of this place. And for a while, it gave me exactly that, peace. Until I started hearing the ceiling. At first, I figured it was the building settling. That's what people always say, right? Old buildings make noise. But this wasn't random creaks and pops. It sounded deliberate. Footsteps, slow, soft, and definitely paced, like someone was walking directly above me. The problem was, I'm on the top floor. There's no apartment above mine, just the roof. I thought maybe maintenance had access to the roof and someone was up there working. So I called the property manager. She told me, flatly, that no one is supposed to be on the roof, and there's only one locked access point, which she had the key for. I asked her if maybe someone had broken in or found another way up. She hesitated, then said, no, and besides, this isn't the first time someone's asked about that. She brushed it off quickly after that, like she'd said more than she meant to. But something in her voice stuck with me, like she knew something she didn't want to explain. That night, I lay in bed staring up at the ceiling. The footsteps didn't come until around 2:30 a.m., and when they did, they were slow, careful, almost like someone tiptoeing, trying not to be noticed. I tried to convince myself it was just my mind playing tricks on me, the way you do when you're tired and your thoughts stretch the shadows. But the sound wasn't in my head. It moved. From one end of the ceiling to the other, paused, then turned back, and then, I swear I heard breathing. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By morning, I almost laughed it off. Told myself it was pipes, or rats, or maybe even wine somehow. That's the thing about the ceiling. You can't see it. It's just there above you, and your mind fills in the gaps. But over the next few nights, the sounds got more frequent and more precise. Sometimes it would sound like someone crawling. Other times, I'd hear a faint knock, 3 soft taps, spaced out, directly above my bed. I started to lose sleep. Work became harder. I stopped inviting people over because I didn't want to explain the bags under my eyes or why I had music playing softly all night. Then one night, I saw something. A shape, just a brief flickering shadow across the ceiling. When the power blinked out for half a second, it looked like a person, but it wasn't walking. It was sprawled, and it was moving with its arms and legs splayed out, like a spider. After that night, I stopped trying to rationalize it. I didn't sleep in my bedroom anymore. I moved my mattress into the living room and kept all the lights on, even though it didn't help much. The ceiling stretched across every room. No matter where I went, I could hear her. That's what I started, calling it in my head. Her. Even though I hadn't seen a face, hadn't heard a voice, there was something unmistakably human and female about the way it moved. Sometimes I'd hear faint humming, like an old nursery rhyme, warbling through the ceiling like it was soaked in water. And then things got worse. I came home from work one day and found the ceiling vent cover in my bedroom unscrewed, just dangling by a single bolt. I hadn't touched it. There was dust around it, thick, undisturbed dust, except for 2 clear handprints in the grime. Small, thin fingers, and they were on the inside. I called maintenance immediately. When they arrived, I made up some excuse about rattling vents. I didn't want to sound insane. The guy climbed up with a flashlight, stuck his head in, and immediately paused. I asked him what he saw. He said, nothing, just old insulation. But he was pale when he came back down. I tried to push him, ask if anything looked off. All he said was, there's a lot of space up there. More than you'd think. That night, I locked the bedroom and stayed in the living room again. But around 3 a.m., I woke up to a noise I hadn't heard before. Not footsteps, not humming, not crawling. Laughing, soft, breathy, and close, not above me, behind the wall. I froze, just listened, heart pounding in my throat. The laughing stopped, and I heard something drag across the wall inside, like fingernails. The next morning, I'd had enough. I packed a bag and went to stay with a friend across town for a few days. I didn't tell them why, just said my building had plumbing issues, but even at their place, I couldn't sleep. Because one night, as I lay there staring at a completely different ceiling, I heard 3 soft knocks. I sat up fast. My friend was asleep on the couch beside me. There was no attic, no upstairs, just the roof. And yet, the knocking happened again. This time, a little closer to the corner of the room. I left before sunrise. I went back to my apartment the next day, determined to figure this out. If I was losing my mind, I wanted proof. If it was something else, I needed to know. So I bought a cheap thermal camera, one of those clip-on ones you can attach to your phone. That night, I turned off all the lights, lay flat on the living room floor, and pointed the camera straight up at the ceiling. For the first hour, nothing. Just cold spots, insulation, the usual. But then, at 2:47 a.m., something moved. A shape appeared on the camera. Spindly arms, a hunched, bony frame, and a face that didn't move, just watched. The worst part? It was right above me, inches away, and it hadn't made a sound. She was there the whole time. And when I moved the camera slightly to the left, I saw something else. A small, dark mark on the ceiling, just barely visible to the naked eye. A handprint, pressed from the inside out. I didn't sleep after seeing that face on the thermal camera. I couldn't. I just sat there, watching the footage over and over. Her arms were longer than they should be. Her elbows bent the wrong way, and her face, God, her face. It was blurred by the heat signature, but there was this unnatural stillness to it. Like it wasn't really alive, just aware. I sent the footage to my property manager. No reply. The next morning, I went to the office in person, and it was empty. Desk cleared out. Sign taken down. When I asked another tenant what happened, they said, "Oh, she left 2 weeks ago." Said the building was cursed. That's when I realized. No one told me. No one told me the last tenant in my unit had disappeared. All that was left was a complaint logged in the system. Something lives in the crawl space. I hear her every night. I didn't pack. I didn't take anything. I just left. I booked a motel outside the city and tried to forget. Tried to tell myself it was a gas leak, mold, sleep paralysis, whatever. Anything but what I knew deep down was true. But last night, I woke up to scratching. It was coming from inside the motel wall, just behind the headboard. I pressed my ear to it, barely breathing. And I heard it. Her, whispering. At first, I couldn't make out the words, but then I did. She said, "There's no ceiling. Only walls. And I live in them all." I think she followed me. Or maybe she was never just in the apartment to begin with. Maybe she's part of something older. Something that doesn't need a place. Just space. Behind drywall. Between beams. Inside vents. Beneath floorboards. Waiting. Watching. So if you're watching this in bed tonight, and you hear something above you, don't look up. Because if you do, you might see her face pressed to the ceiling, watching you back. Some places aren't just haunted, they're hungry. Apartments meant to shelter you, motels meant to forget you. They all wear the same mask, normal, familiar, safe, until you look too close, until the ceiling breathes back, or the room won't let you leave. Because these aren't just stories, they're warnings. You don't choose to enter places like this. They choose you, and once they do, they don't always give you back. You've just heard another tale from the Hollow Veil, where the walls remember and the rooms never forget. More stories are coming soon. So, leave the light on. You'll need it.